if each of you could give us your biggest prediction for streaming 2015. This is Nolan with PostProduction.com, and super excited here. We've got a panel of experts in the field of streaming video live, and we're going to be talking today about predictions for 2015. It's going to be an awesome conversation. We've been chatting in the green room here, kind of getting prepared for the conversation, and can't wait to get into it here. But the theme of this whole thing really is, as Mark Twain said, find out where everybody's going, get there first. And so that's what we're going to be talking about here. But I've asked them each just to tell us a little bit about themselves and kind of how they fit into the equation of streaming video live. Chad, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about how you fit in?
Thanks. My name's Chad Jacobson. I'm the Chief Engineer, Recording Music Technology guy at Iowa State University, our Department of Music here. And where I fit into the equation is we broadcast, and I really mean that word, we broadcast about 110 events a year. And we have multi-camera system, and we stream. We have anywhere from 20 users to 200, 150 users watching our streams from all over the world, and we've been doing this for several years. We were one of the first academic institutions to embrace the technology. So that's where I'm coming at it from. It's a way to connect people to our art here on campus.
Cool. Chris, why don't you take it from here?
Sure. My name is Chris Knowlton. I'm with Wowza Media Systems. For the last 14 years, I've been working on streaming media technology and trying to make it simpler for folks to take the content they have, whether in broadcast form or just putting a webcam on their PC and streaming it, and getting that out to a broader audience. And so I've been continuing that for the last 3 years with Wowza Media Systems and some of the software that Wowza creates to try and make it simpler to get from anybody and any point and any source to any screen in the planet.
Wow, that's a good tagline. Eric.
Yes, thank you. My name is Eric Hers. I'm with RAMP, and with Chris, I've been innovating in the streaming industry, and happy to talk here with folks about new trends in streaming technology. I'm with RAMP, and RAMP works with media companies, content publishers, and enterprises to make video valuable, searchable. We provide speech-to-text technology so we can extract metadata and build sort of video experiences around that. And now enterprises with live webcasting and video on demand within content management contexts. So very excited about joining the group. Thank you.
Cool. We're glad to have you. Michael.
Hello, my name is Michael Kamas. I'm the Director of Technology and Marketing at Keycode Media, which is a consultancy, integrator, and reseller up and down the West Coast as well as in the Midwest. And any of the technologies you're going to find in media creation, post-production, or distribution, our company handles. And that, of course, includes any kind of streaming technologies, production technologies. And because we work with, every different kind of vertical, whether it be advertising, media and entertainment, healthcare, government, corporate, etc., we get a really good idea of what's being done and what people are looking forward to. So it puts us in a real good position to kind of, as you said, go to where everyone's heading, right? Get there first. So it gives us a really good ability to see where things are going and get there first.
Cool. Well, Michael, I think you queued up the conversation quite nicely there. Where is this all headed? I know we've talked about this in the green room, and we've seen streaming and what it can do with broadcast move from the big shots who've been doing it for forever. With broadcast, you got the big networks, but now you've got moms and pops, hobbyists who are streaming stuff out of their kitchen for their own kitchen shows, all the way up to, say, CBS, who recently just shifted gears with their online content, doing a lot of live stuff. I mean, there's so much happening with we've got people out there shooting cameras. Everything's becoming affordable to shoot, super high quality. You're basically be able to take that that $1 million truck and pack it into a lunchbox, or even smaller for that matter, depending on what one's budget is. But what's the prediction? What do you guys think is going to happen here in 2015? What we want to cover here is what do we think is going to happen? who is affected by it, who must know about this, what do they need to do, why do they need to do it, and all those good questions. So I'll kind of open it up and let somebody just jump in, or maybe we'll just start. Maybe we'll start with you, Chad. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with streaming in 2015?
I think what you're going to find. I think you're going to find an expansion of what you've already kind of talked at. Small mom and pop individuals creating streams and creating their own content. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. I think the making money off of it, just to cut to the chase, is really what people are going to have to do. I mean, the model's been changed upside down. We were talking in the green room earlier. It's much like the music business. It's the best of times and worst of times in the music business, and I think the broadcast industry is going into that same sort of thing where everybody's making content, and the technology's never been easier. I think you're going to see. I mean, we use a lot of Blackmagic gear here because, again, it's so reasonably priced, and the quality is just, I mean, it's 1080, it's high def, it looks beautiful. You're going to see a lot more of that in the field. I think adaptive technology has been around for a while in terms of the stream quality. I think you're going to see adaptive technology embraced. That's more of a technical thing, but that's where I think you're going to see more people doing more of it. I get a lot of calls and a lot of questions from other universities to set up streaming systems like we have here at ISU, and everybody. I mean, even if your audience is only 200 people or 150 people, more people are getting involved and are interested in it.
Real quick, Chad, why are you getting all these calls from universities?
I think that some of it has to do with they see other people doing it, so they want to jump on the bandwagon as well. But I think that for us, it's really easy for alumni and for parents and for interested parties to check out what we're doing and some of the concerts and some of the talent that we have, whether we bring them in from outside of the university or it's our own faculty. We're doing interesting things, much like the Metropolitan Opera's broadcast that they're doing. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that, but they're doing the live stream, the HD live stream to theaters across the country. This is sort of a smaller scale of that, where people from the comfort of their own home can see, Holt's The Planets, or they can see the Amara Piano Quartet, which is our resident quartet here on campus. And they travel around the world, and so for people to be able to sit down a couple times a semester and say, wow, I can watch this quartet perform, it's really exciting. As an academic institution, we're not really worried about the monetization of things, but again, we get a lot of alumni, a lot of people in the community, just a lot of interested parties. So that's the why. The interest is there, and we're filling that interest.
I think another part, too, might be that, for a number of years now, YouTube and Netflix have made it really easy for us to get to video content and get to it increasingly on a reliable basis. And ever more so, we can watch on any device that we happen to have, right? And so it seems like, and the live events like Sochi Olympics and FIFA World Cup have made it shown that you can not only do that with on-demand content, but live content and experience it anywhere in really good quality. And I think there's this sort of, among a lot of folks who might be working at a corporation or going and attending an educational institution, they're seeing at home that they can get all this great technology, great content, watch it anywhere they want, and then they go back to wherever it is they work or they study, and they say, well, why can't we do this here? We have the resources, we have the smarts, why can't we do that too? And that's then when you have more of those conversations too about how do I stream this great content that we have on site, on campus, and get that out to where I am or where the alumni are, what have you, And so that's part of it. It's just the ubiquity of video is finally there, and the quality is good enough that people want to say, I want to get all my possible content this way and consume it this way as well, not just YouTube and Netflix and a few big budget kind of events.
I think there's another angle to that, and that's right now we're talking kind of what's outward bound, what you're going to be able to see on your mobile device, what you're going to be able to see on YouTube, what you're going to see on your Roku. But the amount of corporations and medical facilities and not forward-facing companies that are embracing streaming technology to communicate messages to their partners or to their employees, a corporate office talking to all their employees at once. That just a massive market. And again, there's as was mentioned, there's not a lot of monetization in that. But to bridge that gap between the mothership and all the satellite ships is just phenomenal. I think also the availability of anyone being able to do it anywhere. When we talk about the Olympics, we talk about these larger events. There's millions of dollars of infrastructure.
Right.
If I were to take, my iPhone or my Android and go out there, the quality is going to suck. But now that we have, the 4G wireless hotspots, we now can do these decent productions with pretty good quality up and down from almost anywhere without having to invest in the infrastructure of having, a hard line carried in.
Yeah, exactly.
I think definitely the democratization of content creation. So, you mentioned the cooking shows, now self-service live webcasting, now employee or user-generated content being posted from mobile devices. So I think the technology is in place for that to work, and I think one of the things we'll see next year is people thinking through workflows and thinking through ways of actually managing that content. So maybe not the ability to type in titles, descriptions, and tags on the handset, maybe not wanting to deal with a directory full of unstructured videos, but how do you actually create workflow so you can identify that content and get it published? Taking the democratization of content creation and building workflows so that you can actually get that published and managing that content.
I'm gonna agree 50% on that, and that's because I think the larger facilities and larger corporations, they're certainly going to be saying, well, hold the fort. Before we start streaming, let's talk about what our asset management solution is going to be. Let's see what our whole strategy is. I think the initial question is going to be, how cool can I make it? Right, it's going to be the production side of it, and I think that's where people are going to, get the first taste is free. They're going to get that kind of rush of being able to create content, and unfortunately, as what usually happens is the content's created, and then you have to reverse engineer. Well, how am I going to handle all this?
Yeah.
Interesting. So on that note, Michael, as we're kind of going down the path, keeping this structured, so it kind of seems like people who are just kind of getting into it on that content creation side, what do you think the streaming is going to happen for? Let's start with the big, huge corporations that have been out in business for a very, very long time, and then work our way down to that brand new person who's doing that mom and pop cooking show out of their garage or in their own kitchen. What do you guys think is going to happen with that?
Well, they have to learn media. I mean, first and foremost, if we're talking outside the creation space, we're talking about insurance companies, we're talking about architects, that kind of thing. They don't have the background in media and entertainment. So first of all, they have to learn what a video signal is. They have to learn basic stuff like that. So I think there's going to be a pretty quick learning process on just learning the fundamentals of production before they even get to being able to stream anything out.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and maybe I guess from the other side also is they're starting to be very familiar with WebEx and Link and other sort of conferencing type tools and tools like this, and now they're saying, well, how do I take that and reach 500 or 1,000 people or 5,000 people? So they're starting to be comfortable as we are with video as part of their small collaboration tools, and now wanting to figure out how to extend that and just get people off of the audio conference bridge and onto a live webcast as an alternative. So I think these corporations, the big corporations in terms of content creation, are now seeing streaming as a way to take their former sort of web conferencing collaboration workflows into how do I reach 5,000 people. So I think that's another one of the ways to kind of get them to tiptoe into this, is just say it's like a web conference, but it's going to be video and we're going to reach 5,000 people. Don't worry, it'll work. No problem.
No problem.
Tiptoe them into
it. There's something else that we've seen a lot of interest in, and I think we're going to see a lot of it next year, and that's the line between the figure of a company, meaning the brand Nike, the brand Reebok, and knowing the people there. Kind of like knowing a celebrity from what you see on television and what you see with them on Twitter, right? You have that more, I don't want to say one-on-one, but it's a little bit more personal. When we start introducing bidirectional communication with these live streams, when we start introducing social media, being able to harvest tweets, harvest Instagram, harvest Facebook posts, and then respond to those during the live stream, that is a massive component of these new type of broadcasting, because you're developing a community. You're getting people that want to watch and they want to give back because they want to hear what you have to say, as opposed to the old paradigm of an audience where we're just going to broadcast, or in this case stream, people will take it and leave. So being able to interact with your audience in real time and retain those folks, as well as gear your show to what they want, I think is a phenomenal addition.
So, Michael, you've said you've been seeing a lot of interest in this growing. Is this something that's here now, or is this something that you think is going to be happening more in 2015? Just more of that interactive second screen, kind of conversation that happens when you have like a live streaming thing, and the ability to converse with the people who are broadcasting live, or streaming live, I should say.
Not a conversation goes by about live streaming where that isn't brought up, and that's almost the icing on the cake. Because when you talk about, yes, being able to harvest all this different data, being able to interact directly, it's definitely here. Companies like Tagboard, companies like Livefire, hardware companies like Chiron, Never Know, being able to not only deliver these social media, the harvesting, but also as a marketing company, or as a company that needs to determine who's watching and how long, to deliver the heat maps of where people are watching, how long they're watching, what their engagement ratio is. So again, it's a lot more than just what they're putting out there. It's how can I interact and better gear what I'm doing to cater to the people who are watching.
Yeah, I think too, within Wowza we've seen for a number of years customers coming to us and saying, I want to be able to get questions back. I want a video chat capability as well, so that people can feed questions back to me. I can respond to those. And then increasingly that seems to be, rather than having custom video chat applications alongside your video screen, that does seem to be increasingly moving over to the Twitters and other sort of common mainstream social media tools out there. And Michael, I guess as you were saying, a couple of weeks ago I was at a Key Code Media event and saw several of those products that you mentioned. Last week I was at a conference in New York, and then this week at Streaming Media West, and all along the way there are new products being introduced where the social integration is directly there, where it's built right into the video feed, so people can either you can do it two ways. Either have questions coming in off screen so somebody can moderate them, or they're coming right on the screen so people can directly interact, and then if potentially even see that interaction right there in the video stream, like the new Telestream Wirecast version, for instance, puts the tweets right on the screen for you, and so people can see that not only are they interacting, their message is being heard and shared with the broader audience as well. So it becomes much more of a community conversation as opposed to just that one-way communication.
Wow. So let me ask you real quick, wondering about with what you were just talking about there, Chris. I know you are a video evangelist, and it sounds like you've been at the forefront. Now, you guys, Wowza has been kind of in this game for what, 8 years? Is that
yeah,
right?
The company started in 2005.
2005. Okay, so you guys have been around even before, YouTube Live and the Google Hangouts and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So you're, from my perspective, seemingly, you guys are the granddaddies, and so in the stream of growth, where do you see it right now? I mean, I'm sure when it started, it was here, and then you've seen it kind of go up and up and up.
Yeah.
Are we at that tipping point, or are we just right before that tipping point? Where do you see it on the curve of growth?
That's a great question. I actually have a blog post coming out that talks about this. And really, when I started in video, streaming video, it was in 1999, and all of my colleagues and I thought, ooh, video is going to be big any day now. And we're actually at that point in late 2014 where we see people walking around, watching video all the time, live events, on-demand events, and we think, it is pretty mainstream now. The quality looks great. we're probably there, right? It's just becoming more and more embedded in what we do, not only socially or at home, but also into the workspace and education and everywhere else. So I think it feels to me like we are right at the tipping point now, or within the next few months, and that it's really just going to become completely infused as a way that we do communications, sharing of information, and everything else. Where we used to have the phone, then we had the cell phone, and now we have video. It just feels like it's really embedded in everything that we're going to be doing going forward.
Well, that brings up a real good point. How do you find this? If we are at the tipping point where everyone who's anyone is doing video and putting it out there, what do you all foresee as being the mechanism, the TV guide, as it were, for millions of broadcasts? How do you filter out the white noise? I mean, if any of you have tried to find something on Netflix, good luck, right? It's not easy. So how are we filtering out all these different streams?
That's a great question. I've seen one site, iCanStream.it, which is pretty good at telling you where you can find any TV or movie show that you want to watch across all those various services. I know I was shown another app just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was from a university in Texas that was working on development with a company. And it had a similar thing, but it was an app form, so you could actually take it and say, just type in, search for what you're looking for, whether it's a TV show or whatever. And I think those kinds of apps will probably lead the way, and then we'll have to find a way to extend those to the broader content, stuff you might find on YouTube or all the sort of home publishers, right? To your point, there are going to be so many pieces of content out there, not thousands, but millions. Somebody will probably evolve one of those tools to the next step and try and encompass all of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it were someone like Google, honestly. They have, they are searching all the web pages and finding all that kind of content today. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like they put together some kind of tool like that, or made through APIs, made it available for someone else to build that.
I think you're going to see, much like in the music business, how there's Pitchfork and other like magazines, online, ways of curating content. I see it happening in streaming as well. I think that's where this is going to go. Is people will have their stream or their feed, or they visit a website, they frequent a website. I mean, maybe it'll be a sub part of New York Times Online. I don't know, but I see it being curated in that fashion as well. Who would have seen Pitchfork 15 years ago? But everybody's making music now, and that's how you pull them from the. That's how you find things.
Yeah.
So it's a unique opportunity for other people.
We're definitely getting demand from our customers to figure out how to automate more of that. So curation is a great part of this, and there's definitely curation in process here. But there's also a need to figure out how to automatically curate the stuff, create structure around it. So we provide a speech-to-text model where we'll just extract keywords from the spoken words of the video and then use that for tagging, using that for publishing and finding related videos and content within that. So we think this model of extending tags and metadata by using spoken words as keywords and having that drive discovery is a key important trend for this coming year. And we're seeing our content partners, like Meredith Magazine has Better Homes and Gardens, and Fitness Magazine, where they're trying to use this metadata that we've extracted to drive more user engagement. They want to have it so that people, while they're watching these videos, bubbling up from these videos are topics and tags that then have adjacent to the video these rich media synchronized, find more information about this, or if you want to purchase this knife, go for it. If you want to, so they think that the next step is to take this video, make it searchable, but then more importantly is automate rich media synchronized content and make it much more engaging. So search and discovery and curation will lead toward a more engaging visual experience by bubbling up those keywords and figuring out how to use those as hooks to get people to sort of lean forward even more.
Eric, how solid is that technology now? I mean, I'm sure everybody's had the experience of, I'll use YouTube as the example, but they have like a transcriber thing, but it's kind of like, have you ever seen those joke tweets where the autocorrect they send it out but it autocorrects before, and then you send it and it's like, oh crap, that's not what I meant, Mom, I'm so sorry. That's kind of YouTube's, and nothing against YouTube, it was awesome, but where's that? I'm just picturing, like, okay, let's say this show here, and I'm picturing people who are doing streaming live stuff, and then they want to capture that content down the line and be able to repurpose it or whatever it may be, like you were talking about, Eric. How good is that right now? Can you literally just push the button, automate it, and it comes out, and you don't have to do any human interaction with it, or is that still a growing technology?
No, we definitely have speech-to-text technology. Our technology allows you to create these keywords automatically from the video, but I will be honest with you, it's not 100% accurate, so it's not ready for for a full transcript. And so what we do is we have a few different passes that we can use to enhance these things. So, for example, for FX, we just put every Simpsons TV show online, and what we did for them, they didn't want to do full human transcription for everything, and we were able to do two passes. One is a software speech-to-text solution that probably 60-70% accuracy, and then another where we take their captions and texts and other things, and we automatically align that to those discovered words through the software. And as a result of those two passes, the automated speech-to-text, and then taking scripts and transcripts and captioning and automatically aligning, we can fill in all the gaps and actually dramatically increase the quality and the accuracy of that. And that was enough for FX to say we've got caption-ready content for the web without actually having to human caption everything. The other thing we've done that helps in these regards is creating various models. So we have different language models. We have models for British English versus U.S. English, financial information versus technical information. So we feel we need to innovate more and create more models that match the different types of content that are out there to increase the accuracy. So we're definitely innovating in that regard. And then finally, there is the human captioning. So there's a lot of content where they want us to actually create perfect human captions and then translate that into multiple languages. So long answer, but it's very good for search, I would say. Not perfect for captioning through software, but through various means of transcribing, aligning transcripts and captions, we can get there and get a product that I think is great for the web.
And I'm assuming that's pretty important in regards for, as we were discussing, getting this content that's created for streaming video getting found. Because I agree with you, Michael. It's difficult to find exactly what you're looking for. Let alone stuff that's already been recorded. But if it's streaming live, did you guys think that that's going to be a big trend coming out in 2015? Is with all of this content that's being created now, there's going to have to be more ways out there to get it found so that people can watch it. In fact, actually, Eric, do you guys deal with any of that with what you do with your streaming stuff with your concerts?
We do. I mean, definitely a lot of content publishers, magazine, Meredith, Fox. We have a lot of customers who are using us to not only crawl their sites and create indexes and searchability. We do that for NASCAR. We do that for USPGA. But inside the video, extracting the keywords and making that searchable. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of demand from media companies to have that video be searchable amongst all the other elements of their sites. But yet we're also seeing less focus on search. I mean, I think one of the trends coming up for this next year is media companies and people with content being less focused on driving people to their domain and having search from their domain on their site to having mobile applications, having inbound links from Google and Facebook and other things where once they land on the video, the trick is to get them to be more engaged and spend more time on that video and then finally convert into some sort of monetization path. So a lot of interest in search metadata, but surprisingly less about getting people to their site and having them search and more toward driving some sort of rich media or increasing engagement with some sort of synchronized content based upon those search words rather than having people actually lean forward and search. Search is coming from Google and Facebook. They want to when people land on a video, they want to make it more engaging with search technology.
Interesting. Chad, do you guys do anything in regards to that, or do the students at Iowa State kind of take care of that for you and the alumni?
It's a little bit of both. It's kind of nice. So we both our students and our faculty, they'll communicate amongst themselves, but social media, that's how we're doing our advertising. I mean, Facebook is people follow, subscribe, whatever you want to call it. They're engaged with us on Facebook. They're engaged with us on Twitter. They're engaged with our faculty, and so it kind of takes care of itself. That's how we reach our audience because we already have a relationship with them. I would say it's similar, again, in the music business or any other industry. If you're starting your small project, you have to find your audience and you have to grow them, whatever it may be. I mean, previously it was a mailing list or whatever you might have had 10 years ago. Now you have to find other ways of getting to your audience. I think search is important. We don't really have to deal with that, but I think that, again, whether it's Facebook likes or people following you on Twitter, that's how you have to cultivate people to your content. And yeah, that's about all I can add on there. Somebody else want to take over?
One of the things that I think we're seeing as a potential trend for next year is that as more of our customers move to needing closed captioning, they are, by the process of actually grabbing all those captions and having them as metadata files, are making it much more easy to go and search through their content as well, and working with Wowza partners with Ramp and others, and we expect that those companies will be even more engaged with our customers as they try and take not only meet closed captioning requirements for live broadcasting, but then at the same time sort of get the double benefit of, oh, I can also make it much more searchable, much more usable by my viewers, because now it'll be much simpler for them to find exactly the content they're looking for.
And Google's already, published articles and whatnot about their. Of course, no one knows the exact Google sauce, but they have increased value on videos with closed captioning. Yeah. They actually weight that heavier. So being able to add that captioning to not only comply with, broadcast regulations if you fall into that scope, but also to have it be found later. I think we can all imagine a world where in Google you click videos and you search videos for a certain phrase and it will report that. I think, as Eric pointed out, we're not quite at the point where we can have automated transcription. Whether it be Ramp's technology, whether it be Nexidia or any of these other speech recognition, for lack of a better term, technologies out there. It's not quite there yet. But the keyword aspect, as you brought up, being able to locate a concept without having to manually put that in, just saves a ton of time and will greatly streamline to the end user to actually find what you're looking for.
Yeah, interesting. Got a question coming in real quick here. I want to interject as we're kind of going down the workflow path. It is coming in from Matthew McLean, and he's wondering if you've seen live streams where the audience gets to choose the camera to watch, and what's the tech behind it. And I guess before I throw that out to the panel there, the predictions in regards to getting the content, which is kind of a little bit about what he's talking about. Because I think part of what he's talking about is maybe YouTube Live, where they have several cameras and the viewer gets to choose which camera they get to view from. So let's address that question. And what thoughts do you guys have on that?
I think the technology's been around for a while. NFL used it, for instance, for the Olympics, I think 2010, and then NFL Sunday Night Football Extra, where you could choose from among 5 different angles. You could choose the main feed, the in zone feed, the sideline feed. I think it was 5 or 6 different angles you could choose from. So the technology's been there. I think it's becoming more mainstream in 2015 because that multi-camera, multi-angle kind of perspective is actually getting more built into some of the technology, like MPEG Dash, a new streaming format. And so my expectation is, because customers or viewers want to not only interact but sort of be their own director sometimes when there are multiple camera angles, I think we're going to see that as being a more prevalent type of feature, because now if I have that and the guy next to me, whoever's streaming something else doesn't have that, the viewers are more likely to come to my content because they can feel like they control what they watch. They get to see more of what they want to watch, whether it be a football game or whether it be a rock concert, where they could potentially watch the standard front of house feed, or they could have just the drum cam or the guitar cam, and they could actually be really just focusing on those elements that are most interesting to them.
Now, to be clear, I don't think that's going to negate the quote unquote line cut. I think the flexibility of being able to look at the drummer camera or the wide shot is fantastic. Being a control freak, I love that. But just like a television show, sometimes you want to sit back and say, "Tell me the story."
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to negate the production that needs to be done.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but I think it's a fantastic addition. And I don't see a lot of people doing it. I presume it's because of the bandwidth constraints, being able to uplink that many live video streams when bandwidth is at a price premium. But if it could be done more in the future, I would love that kind of control.
Yeah.
Is that more of is it a YouTube Live thing? I mean, I'm pretty sure that they have that capability. I haven't worked with it that much, but what do you guys know about that? The technology behind it?
I don't know. I haven't seen it on YouTube Live, so I'm not familiar with it if they do have it. I have seen it on private events, NFL, as I mentioned. A customer of ours called Tour Gigs does rock concerts around the country, and they provide multi-angle viewing for some of their viewers in some of those events when they have the bandwidth up and the band wants to actually share all those different angles with their customers. But for them, it's just standard streaming technology where you have multiple streams, and as part of the adaptive bitrate streaming technology, not only can you choose different bit rates, different resolutions, the client can do that, but the user can actually choose, I want this camera instead of that camera. And so it just becomes part of that and a custom player experience where they can choose from thumbnail somewhere on the screen to say, I want that view versus this other view. But it's not, to Michael's point, it's not standard. Not many people are doing it. It's really a premium experience at this point. It's really a big differentiator for those folks who can do it, who can afford it, both from just having enough cameras to cover all those angles, plus to afford the upstream bandwidth out of the venue so that they can then share it.
Yeah, to me it kind of sounds like a really cool experiment with maybe like a GoPro, something along. I'm just kind of envisioning. Chad, I'm thinking for your Iowa State, you have like maybe the string section, and maybe you've got the you got all the different parents that are watching.
Yeah.
So I could totally see how that could be a cool thing for universities or House of Worship, maybe. I don't know, Michael.
There's a couple, yeah, definitely. There's a couple use cases there that have just blown me away. One of them would be sorry, just drew a blank for a second. Bands. There's several bands have been doing the making of XYZ album. Not to quote Rush, but XY. What the album they're making. So in rehearsals, they'll live stream the rehearsals and then charge a premium for that. We're seeing radio stations who are obviously losing money on terrestrial broadcasts say, you know what? Let's put some cameras in the studio. Let's have them automatically switch based on what microphone gets an audio signal, and then we charge people $30 a month. Let's do that. Or the one that blows me away is Twitch and video games. So much money in that, and if 20 years ago you said, Michael, people are going to be paying to watch other people play Nintendo games, my brains would have been on the wall. That's just I do not believe that, and yet
my brain's on the wall right now after you said it. Sorry.
the amount of people who are tuning in to see teams playing video games against one another and then have commentary on it going on at the same time, that's just a phenomenal market. So there's all these markets I never would have thought that are getting into the streaming business. As I mentioned earlier, not only forward-facing but also internal. So to kind of bring things full circle, it's invading, and sometimes it is invading, every part of our professional and personal lives, and there's just nowhere you're going to go where there won't be a stream of it live.
Wow.
Yeah, Twitch is a big one. Also YouTube Live, and yeah. So my 10-year-old son is broadcasting his live Minecraft events, and he's got his picture-in-picture, and he wants to be just like the other Minecraft stars, and so yeah, it's coming. Boy, yeah, 10-year-olds are broadcasting their games live, and they love it. It's it's huge.
So,
I think you might have just coined a phrase, Minecraft star. I love that. That's good. Well played, sir.
what do you guys? I want to throw this out there for the establishment out there. The big networks. What do you think this does? Because it's all about attention and entertainment. That's how they monetize. Is they get eyeballs on the screen. They can sell it to advertisers. What do you think this fragmentation and I don't know, the democratization of broadcast, I suppose, for lack of better words, how do you think that's going to affect the big networks? What do you think they're going to be doing, coming in this year, 2015?
I think there's been an aversion for many years. They've all tried to find ways to monetize and make big money, and I think slowly but surely they're realizing, you know what, maybe we should just go to a pay model for a couple bucks a month, whether it be HBO Go, etc. I think the kind of Apple model, which is let's charge a lot of people a little, then a little people a lot, right? And they kind of just spread it out that way. I think that's probably where we're going to see most of these broadcasters going. I think there's also going to be alternative forms of marketing of these. As we talked about in the green room earlier, there's always been either interstitials, commercials, or banner ads on the side, or pop-ups. And being able to have technologies like Revelance, which does video bookmarking, to broadcast these streams or VOD and not interrupt the viewing experience, and the person can look at the advertising at their leisure. I think these kind of unobtrusive marketing schemes are where these broadcasters are going to make money on these live streams.
You triggered a question that's coming in again from Matthew McLean, wondering about how will video advertising models change with streaming video, commercials, product placement. Sounds like that kind of addresses a little bit about what you've talked about. And quite frankly, I would expect that if you have the ability to stream live from anywhere, Chad, like you guys are doing with concerts, or like we talked about NFL, and all of that, I would expect to see maybe some models, Michael, like you were talking a little bit about in the green room, where you can have an easy, screen overlay or something, so that you can start to monetize the content that's being created. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that product placement model is, we're seeing it today. So Better Homes and Gardens, their website, they have a lot of cooking videos and how-to videos, and what they have us do for them is anytime food processor is mentioned, it shows a companion opportunity to buy that food processor right next to the video. They keep talking along, they mention a knife, here's a Crate and Barrel link to purchase that knife. So these media companies are doing product placement by having scripted how-to videos where those keywords are actually bought and sold and linked directly to buying opportunities. So product placement with clickable calls to action right in the video as those words are spoken. It's happening now.
Wow. So it seems to kind of be following the model of the music industry of sorts. Now everybody can kind of broadcast out. You got, like you said, Eric, your 10-year-olds doing their streaming stuff all the way up to the big networks.
I think one thing that we haven't really addressed is we call it the discovery process, but while the democratization, as it's been mentioned, of streaming and these technologies, as the price point gets lower and lower, the ultimate decision is, do I do this myself, or do I outsource it, meaning a content delivery network, a CDN? And that's a discussion that anyone who's streaming has to come to that decision on their own. What is your forecasted ROI model, and will that ROI model justify buying a server, buying the bandwidth, hiring a IT video streaming person to handle this, or do I just want to create it, beam it out to the cloud, and it's done? So I think that's a conversation that everyone has to have, and this year is going to be no exception to that.
Right.
Well, a trend that I'm seeing that I think is influencing that I think you'll see more of next year is the cost of bandwidth, and services like AWS are making accessibility to this infrastructure so, in some ways, commoditized, in some ways just so low cost that a lot of vendors like Ramp are embracing just complete flat fee pricing models where customers can come in for a single flat fee to do as many videos as they want, as many live videos, events as they want, to as many people as they want to. I mean, that it's now at the point, and there's services out there that make it such that we can start taking the risk as vendors and allow customers to just have unlimited use and no longer be constrained by gigabytes, and they don't have to be worried about the video going viral. They don't have to worry about another 5,000 people showing up at the CEO town hall. They won't be gouged by these services that are sort of had been toll-based. next year I think you'll see all of us just moving to pure flat models where people just have unlimited consumption.
I'm anxious to live in that world.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I mean, because we do a lot of, with PostProduction.com, we do a lot of live events. Well, we're out, at Michael. How many events have I seen you at? What was that? Next Video, NAB, just all these events. And I'm always thinking, hey, if I could be streaming this live, that would be awesome. So that would be a great model there to see, Eric. We'll have to have a discussion on that. That's my part of my prediction. Maybe not necessarily in regards to the streaming side, but I can totally see from like the journalistic point of view. I can see having with streaming opening up the doors for way more people to get out there and capture more content that people. I mean, before it was always a choice of how much money do we have to put into this event, but now when you can take what's happening with streaming live and basically become your own mobile truck, you can have more opportunities to have more things of more interest being streamed out there that people can partake of. So I am thinking that the amount of the bloggers all the way up to the professional level, I think there's going to be way more things being covered from many more different angles. Is kind of what I see happening coming up in 2015. I know we're going to be doing it, so we're probably no different than anyone else.
I'd just like to just sort of interject. When podcasting started, I think it's much like podcasting. There were a million people who just started doing their own podcasts, and they sort of abandoned them. But I think we're at that point where the tech and the costs and everything is so easy. The barriers to entry are so low. I think there's just going to be a huge explosion. And I think that one of the essentials maybe in 2015 for the content makers is you have to make content that people want. And again, you saw that in podcasting, you see it in music, and I just think that's where we're at.
Chad, when you say that, are you thinking about both live and on demand?
Yeah, I'd say so. I would say both live and demand and on demand. You have to create an event. If it's a rock concert, or if it's a classical music concert, or if it's live from NAB or whatever you might have, I think you have to make content that people want, as opposed to just making content for content's sake. Again, I'll take you back to the original podcast. I mean, how many podcasts about someone's cat or whatever, that died off after a month? I mean, just.
Hey, we had that show going for 3 months.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and it's a lot like the whole HD versus 4K discussion. Is it more pixels or is it more better pixels, right? So having more live streams out there, does that make them better? No, we want better content, better pixels as opposed to just more of them. And I think when we take away the entertainment value, and again we go back to the whole interdepartmental communications and corporations and whatnot, I think a lot of those companies are looking at it from the front end, which is, we have to live stream. Okay, let's take a step back. Why do you want to live stream? What do you want the outcome of live streaming to be? Well, we live stream. No, there's a lot more to it than that. So I think the whole process has to be thought out and not just throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, one thing also that I'm excited about, it doesn't sound very sexy, very exciting, but
metadata?
Well, no, actually I was going to say H264. So Windows Media is finally dead. It took a long time, but it's finally dead, and now we're finally starting to have an aftermarket come around H264. So I know everyone's talking about 4K and 265 and Dash and all these very exciting things that are coming out there. But my prediction for next year is that there's going to be a whole lot of people actually, now that everyone's sort of grounded on H264 as a universal standard, and now that you have tools like Wowza that can do live transcoding and multiple ingests from RTSP or other inputs, that you're going to finally see this sort of blossoming aftermarket around just the 264 standard. So on the business side, you'll see just video conferencing units used as sources, no problem. Just take that contribution feed from a video conferencing feed, great. On the consumer side, on the media side, you'll see jazz concerts with an Axis camera, and someone could just pull an RTSP feed from an Axis camera in a jazz venue and patch that into a live webcast. So these are things that just couldn't happen before, and now that we've standardized on H.264 and we have ingest tools like Wowza, you can actually build much more interesting and creative sort of uses of video and live broadcasting. And you know, the standards and proprietary formats are going to change at some point, but I think next year you'll actually have a really nice year where people are saying, what can we do with 264 before everything gets more sexy?
Right.
And there's a lot of great stuff we can do now.
And I guess from Wowza customers, we're hearing a lot more about folks wanting to do live as well, right? So one of the things that I see in 2015 is more and more emphasis on those live events, preferably ones that are produced well so that they're better quality, not just more quantity. But lots of folks are seeing that if they have a live event, that when the number of minutes, viewing minutes that they get from a live event are actually going up higher than some of the on-demand events. So people are more likely to stick with the content and keep watching whatever their channel is, if it's live, if it's immediate, if there's some sense of urgency and relevance and it's topical content. And so with that in mind, we expect more folks to actually be doing live as the barriers to entry, as you said earlier, keep coming down. It's going to be easier for folks to get on stream with or online with live content and share that content with their targeted audiences.
Do you see that challenging the establishment?
I don't know if it's challenging the establishment so much. It's what we have seen is that video has gotten very good with YouTube and Netflix and all, but those are on-demand scenarios where typically you can. It doesn't have to be right now. It's not like you have to have low latency video because somebody's actually talking somewhere. You're watching something that was created months ago, right, or years ago. With the live stuff, it's always been a challenge just because there were more chances for things to break along the way. And a lot of that is going away. So I don't know if it's challenging the established sort of infrastructure or ecosystem or players so much as it is making it more possible to have these live and more highly relevant events, I guess, things where people might want to all come together at the same time and watch it, and sort of building on that social interaction that we talked about before, being able to have a shared experience, even if you're sitting in your living room and all your friends are in their living rooms or on a bus or wherever, but being able to share that experience and have it be more relevant, and then something that you talk about either immediately or the next day at the water cooler or whatever.
I think the establishment is being challenged. I mean, I think Twitch was a very substantial challenge to the establishment, and I think they took Twitch out as fast as they possibly could, because as soon as they realized that, the momentum of growth on Twitch, the reach that Twitch had as a media channel, as a live sort of audience solution was, I think, very, very interesting to the large established media companies. And I think that type of Twitch phenomenon is going to happen 3 or 4 more times, where someone's going to take categories like that, going to take just standard technology like that, make it as easy as Twitch was, and as interactive and engaging, and see these audiences. I mean, I have friends who and just passively saying, oh yeah, I was a Twitch gamer and I had 20,000 concurrent live people watching, and I just started getting these checks, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. But I mean, just little stories like that are just mind blowing. I mean, after Chris Alva spending decades trying to get events with just a few thousand people, and having these amateurs come and say, yeah, 10, 20,000 people are watching my Minecraft event. I mean, my God, I mean, I think that's very, very disruptive, and I think the establishment is actually taking notice.
Yeah, that's true. For big things like that, for big successes like Twitch, I would agree. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we all remember with Blockbuster, if anybody remembers Blockbuster, but they were out there as dominant as Starbucks. They were everywhere, and then they somehow couldn't shift into that, being able to, offer videos online, and now they're pretty much out of business as far as I know. So do you predict in 2015 that the more of the established networks and whatnot are going to start doing more of their own, taking notice of what's happening in the live streaming and what's happening with the democratization of that, and start incorporating that as kind of like a side, maybe they direct people to that live thing or promote it while they're doing their network broadcast. Do you think that that's going to be something that they're going to be kind of adopting, or some will, some won't? The ones who don't will fall off by the wayside.
Right.
The ones who do will dominate.
Well, I would think so, because even in the last year, we've seen companies like Showcaster and Beamly provide these second screen experiences for people, right? So now, even though we're watching BBC, it's Downton Abbey or something, it's an on-demand event as far as that goes. It's linear TV, but it's all filmed ahead of time. But what we're watching is the cast watching the show themselves and then commenting on and interacting with us in a social way. So even though it doesn't have maybe quite the sense of urgency as a truly live show, it still gives a sense of urgency and immediacy and added value that if I go watch that show at this time and have this sort of live event with these other people who are watching the show, whether it be the cast or whomever, that it's just much more of a compelling experience. I don't want to just go watch the on-demand version later. I want to do this live version and come and watch this content that this broadcaster is providing, because they're making it so much more engaging for me to do so. And I would think that more folks would see that that's a successful model to drive people to your content when you want them to watch it, that they would start to adopt it. And to your point, for those who don't, I think it's a question of, kind of do it or perish.
I think HBO Go, this is for the sort of biggest ones out there, but the HBO Go development, where they're sometime in 2015, that's the crack in the dam. And I think all of the majors will have to go follow that lead. And I think what you'll see is, we've already talked about how streaming is legitimate now. I think that will further legitimize streaming, whether it's big or small. So I think that sort of, at the highest level, that breaking up will help everyone, big and small.
Yeah. Well, I know I've personally witnessed, even like, you think about Hulu and Yahoo and all these different, websites.
That was interesting.
There we go. Yeah, I think I got a message there that said there was a server error, so I think something happened on Google's end.
Who'd you
Looks like
piss
we're
off
still-
at Google, Nolan?
Yeah. Yeah,
calling
certainly.
calling them establishment.
The check's in the mail. You'll get it. You have to cut us off at the kneecaps here. Anyways, yeah. So what I was saying is that we've been seeing these websites start their own production companies for their own online distribution, and at this moment, it's a lot of it is stuff that's been recorded and being played back. But at the same time, if they've developed that audience, it's just a hop, skip, and a step away from doing it live. So I could certainly see how a lot of these people who have developed these massive audiences. Yeah, I don't know. Do you ever any of you ever watched epic rap battles at all?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good. Glad I'm not the only one. But I mean, for heaven's sake, they have 22 million views on any given one. So I could totally see how people who have already established that audience could capitalize on their audience that they already have, and say, hey, we've got something live happening. Take part and make it like live interactive type thing. So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out in 2015 in regards to already established channels or already established entities out there. Some of them picking up and doing the live streaming. You think about like a celebrity, for that matter, offer like a backstage pass of sorts, online, streamed live, interactive, something along those lines. So I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. That's my 2 bits.
Yeah. That's right. We saw something like that with I think it was the Emmys, wasn't it, where you had 5 backstage cameras or something. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more of that come along as ways to entice you to watch the show during the live session.
Yeah, interesting. Well, gentlemen, I know we are here a little bit beyond the top of the hour. So I guess in closing, would just like to throw out. Well, I guess, Michael, how are we doing with our workflow conversation here? We're kind of hitting the points.
We've jumped around a little bit, as conversations do, but we've jumped around because they've inspired all of us to share knowledge. And whenever you're doing that, you're in a good place. So despite the fact we've hopped around a little bit, it's all been good discussion.
Yeah. Awesome. So we haven't left anything out as far as as far as you can tell.
We haven't dropped enough product names. I'm sure we could do that.
Well, we'll definitely.
Banner ads, right? You're gonna
Well, I
monetize this
absolutely
with
want
the
to give
banner ads.
everybody the opportunity to be able to find it. Where can everybody find more about you guys? So, how about this? In closing, we'll go down the line. If each of you could give us your biggest prediction for streaming 2015, and then also where can people find out more about you, and maybe how you can help out with streaming needs, coming into 2015 and beyond. So I guess anybody feel free to hop in on that one, and we'll close it out.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and lead off. I see more sort of smaller audience needs being filled. I see universities, high schools, and education. I see a lot of more arts and music. That's my background. I see that really blowing up, and I guess I would say go to our website. It's music.iastate.edu, and we have a live couple of different things that we stream, and it runs 24/7, and our concerts are streamed again live. So that would be my recommendation, and I've helped a lot of institutions out with this sort of this conversation. Are we using Wowza? Should we go to the cloud? What should we use for our front end? And that's what I've done. So next.
I think mobile is going to be big. I mean, it's already huge. I think it's going to become even larger as both a way of folks consuming their video. Certainly, I see young folks who will sit in front of a large screen TV but be focusing on the device in their hands, not on the TV. And certainly, wherever they go, they have those. So certainly, from that perspective, lots of folks who are commuting seem to be doing that. If they're on the train or on the bus, seem to be watching video. I think we're going to see more of that both for on-demand and for live. And I think we're also going to see more of that content that's generated using mobile devices. And for more about what Wowza does, go to Wowza.com.
Sure, I like to have people visit our customers, so you can start the day light. You can do some keyword searches for things that Bart Simpson has said. So we put all the Simpsons episodes up on SimpsonsWorld.com. Some Simpsons episodes, and search for your favorite, quip from Bart Simpson. You move over to some cooking shows at Better Homes and Gardens and search for how to bake things for the holiday and find related things that you can purchase. Certainly, what we'd like to do also, if you go to ramp.com, you can learn about our live webcasting and corporate communications and enterprise capabilities. So what we're doing is we're bringing all the great video experiences and search that we've done for these great media companies, and we're retooling all that so that these same workflows and these same solutions can be used in the enterprise. And we're doing that with Wowza, with the new live webcasting capability that we think is just absolutely terrific. So go to Wowza or go to ramp.com. So thank you.
There's two things, and hopefully no one will cut me off. First is external, and that's social media. By my estimation, the biggest prediction for 2015 is that more and more live streams will have social media integration. Bi-directional communication, interacting with your audience in real time, changing your show to reflect what people want to see and what people say, to the point where there's now game shows, to the point where there will be shows that are based entirely on audience feedback. So I think there's no question that's probably the top of my list. The other side of that, which would be internal, the side that no one ever sees, would be larger companies that need to communicate between different offices, different employees, different countries, and they've had to do, emails or rely on substandard video conferencing. To be able to do live streaming and have real-time updates with their offices, with their employees, I think is going to bring the whole world just closer together and have these companies just be a lot tighter in getting their message to their employees. You can find me at keycodemedia.com or michaelkamas.com, and we can certainly help you with any workflow from creation to distribution.
Michael, can you spell your last name so people can get that properly found?
PostProduct. Okay. No. I was going to go postproduction.com. No, Michael Kammes, KAMMES.com.
Awesome. On that note, I am just going to do a quick screen share here. Just out to all the people for those of you who don't know PostProduction.com, let's see if I can pull this screen share. It's a resource and a directory for everything it has to do with post-production. So as you can see here, we do allow people to get their free listings. So if you are in post services or rentals, manufacturers, resellers, you name it, voiceover, music talent, definitely go to postproduction.com. Do get your free listing there. As the world grows and the world goes, more and more people are looking for services all over the world. And as long as you do have your free listing here on postproduction.com, they can find you. So that's my shameless plug here. I probably should put that at the top of the show, but either way. Wanted to interject that, and wanted to thank all of you for being on the show here. It was outstanding, fantastic, loved every second of it. Would love to set up subsequent conversations, maybe talk a little bit more on the tech side, Michael, as you had mentioned earlier, or maybe on what you guys do over there, Chad, or on the streaming side or the getting found side, Eric. So would love to do more and just get feedback from others out there. So just wanted to thank you again for your time and for taking a little bit of time here to be with us on the show, and looking forward for these predictions to come true or see what happens. I already have it in my calendar to have another conversation like this maybe next November to see where we're at. But if anybody has any last parting words they want to throw in, feel free, or we will finish the conversation.
No, this has been great. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Noland.
Cool.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Yep,
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, make it a great day, and we will be having more shows just like this coming out, addressing, post-production, voiceover, music talent, the things happening in the production and the post-production world. So stay tuned. Go to our news feed on postproduction.com. We will be posting upcoming releases, and this actual video here will be found on the site itself. We'll be posting that up in the industry blog section, so you can spread the word and let everybody know about that. So with that, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Loved having you. Definitely look forward to for subsequent conversations, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks.
Thank you.